I want to make very clear here, Brandon, could you step over here for a moment? This is Brandon King. He is a member of the Google Explorer Club, which apparently there are secret handshakes, there are that kind of thing. This is his. It's not mine, it's not ours, and it's not yours. I know. And one of the things is, as this is a beta product, it's a beta project, it's a beta product, it's a beta everything, we have to be a little bit leery on, this is not something we're going to pass around or anything along those lines, unless we actually pass Brandon around. We did that at the picnic, and he didn't show up for 2 weeks afterwards. So. Oh, but the stories he can tell. So bear with us. The other thing I want to make very, very clear here is that this is beta, all right? And actually, I'd even go a step further. This is still kind of alpha, meaning that what you see here is not the finished product, not the applications. And actually, the way this thing works with applications is very different than even your cell phone or your portable devices. This is a totally new way of doing things. And if we have a minute or so at the end, I may ask Kevin to get up and do his rant about why it's not that big of a deal. So, any case, but with that, I'm going to turn it over to Brandon. Brandon?
Hi. I made it very clear that I'm Brandon. So Google Glass is, as you said, it is an upcoming product from Google. This is the beta test, and I'm gonna show you guys a bit about it. All right, so first things first is it's part of the Glass Explorer program. So it's a limited release beta product. What you see, there might be a few bugs here and there, some software bugs, some glitches, a few issues with the hardware. A lot of the features that it will have are not implemented yet. A lot of the features that it does have are still partially implemented. Everything is subject to change, from the software to the hardware. It will change. The hardware most drastically. So it's still in progress. It is a beta product. Can't stress this enough. And part of the Glass Explorer program is to develop that first wave of applications for a new product, to find those bugs, to test it, and make sure that it is ready upon public release. So what Google Glass is not. It is not your new cell phone. It's not going to replace anything. It's not going to make you completely ditch all your other products I'm not going to use a tablet, laptop, or phone ever again. It does not cover your eyes. And people always ask me, is it distracting? No. If you look here, it is above your eyes, so it's minimal. It's not always showing things. So people ask, is it always on? How does it work? You take out your cell phone and you're going to sit there and you're going to fiddle with an app for 30 minutes, an hour, 10 minutes. Glass isn't like that. It's for that little bits, the little bits of information that you need throughout the day. It's not for playing games like, you're not going to sit there and play Angry Birds like you would on your phone, or Fruit Ninja or something. It's not your MP3 player. You're not going to load your music onto it and say, oh, I'm just going to carry this around and listen to stuff all day long. Once again, this is not your primary device. It's not a replacement. And it is not, as much as it might look like it in its current stage, part of the Borg. Bob, you're not, no. So what is Glass? It's an accessory.
Could that be an application that somebody would write and then stream it over to you from the internet? Just yes or no?
You can. The capability is there. The reason that I say it's not for that is because it's not that type of device. Once you see how it works, it really is not something that you want to just carry around listening to music or watching videos all day long. It works alongside your current devices. It's a complement to it. It's very tailored to you and your needs and what you want. It is very simple, not distracting, minimal, and it's evolving, it's changing, and not just changing itself, but changing the whole idea of how you do computing. So the hardware. Let's just, before we go into any of the software, let's see what we're looking at here. Glass is on a titanium frame. It is very flexible, very durable. On this, along the side here, you have your computer. This is it. This is like smartphone hardware in this little 3.5-inch, half-inch thick form. And along the side of it is a touchpad. There's a microphone, which I actually don't know where that's at, but it does a pretty good job of picking up your voice. The display is in the front here, which it uses a prism to actually focus directly towards your eye so that you don't, it gets hard to focus on something right that close to your face. So there's a prism there, and that's a bit technical. There's a camera right here on the front. The battery is on the back, and probably the coolest part of glass, of the hardware, is this little thing right here. I don't know if many of you can see it. Kind of looks like a button, but that is called a bone conduction transducer. Now, who knows what a cochlear implant is? Okay, for those who don't, a cochlear implant provides hearing for those who are hearing impaired through vibrations. Now, this bone conduction piece vibrates just ever so slightly against the side of your head, and that's where you get your audio from. It vibrates straight through the skull. Now, one of the coolest uses of this is the fact that, depending on the situation, most deaf people can hear it. So that's big in and of itself. Very different type of technology that we've seen in a general, everyday computing device.
You don't look up to it, it just shines down?
No, you look your eye up. That's just how it focuses. But you just look up. So it's not directly in front of your eye. Yes?
How loud is the audio? Because I've heard a lot of people say it's hard to hear when you're driving or like outside.
I don't have a problem. I don't really have a problem hearing it when I'm driving too much. The only times that I have a problem hearing it is when I'm in a really, really crowded, noisy area. For example, I was in the airport and I could barely hear it, but same thing when I took my phone out, I could barely hear the phone calls on my phone. And getting it to go louder is simply...
Would you say it's about as loud as maybe your phone when you're on a call?
maybe a little bit quieter. But if you're in an average environment that's not super loud, you can typically hear it just fine. So in terms of attachments, it comes with, you use a micro USB to charge it, and it also comes with a nifty pair of sunglasses and clear protective eyewear that just kind of attach onto it. So if you use those. So it comes in 5 colors currently, charcoal, tangerine, shale, cotton, and sky. Not the most traditional of names, but whatever, that's just marketing, gotta make it seem different. All right, so using glass. Glass is controlled entirely by a Google account, whether that's a Google Apps account or your for business or your personal Google account. You log into the device, and that's it. You're set up. You're good to go. And if you were to switch to a different device, you just log in to that device, and you're on your way. You're good to go. Everything travels with you. To access new software, which we'll get into in a little bit, you just log into the software with your account using a web browser or your phone, and that's it. There's no installing, that's it, you just log in. Now to use it, it does require an internet connection. Now you can connect it to Wi-Fi if you're in an area with Wi-Fi, or if you have a smartphone, you can connect it via Bluetooth to your smartphone, and it'll just share the data connection with your phone.
Now is that Bluetooth tethering or just Bluetooth?
Up until, now that's a good question. He asked if it's Bluetooth tethering or not, because tethering does cost additional charges on your data plan depending on what carrier you're on.
Brandon, can you repeat the question and then explain what tethering is?
Okay, tethering is basically sharing your internet connection. So you imagine having a little Wi-Fi hotspot with your phone, but doing it with Bluetooth. So it just shares the connection, but your carrier tends to charge you for that. Up until about a week ago, that's how it was. And then, yeah, it was either last week or the week before, they released an update which eliminates the need to Bluetooth tether through the carrier's version and does it all through the app, so there are no additional fees.
Well, my question was because I bought an iWatch, or my wife bought me one for Father's Day, and I figured the Big Bad S4 would have Bluetooth tethering, and now I can't even use a $300 watch because it doesn't have Bluetooth tethering. So that's like my biggest thing is it actual like,
Okay,
because it doesn't even have the option in there to turn Bluetooth tethering on.
that would be a carrier specific thing.
Okay.
I know it has the option. That would be restriction on from your carrier. So if you wanted Bluetooth tethering, you'd have to talk with them.
Well, I have a tethering plan. It's just not even. I have Wi-Fi tethering and everything, and even the
Bluetooth tethering happens more automatically. It's not something that you have to turn on your own. The application triggers that on its own. And like I said, it uses the tethering concept, but not the official tethering. So you don't have to worry about whether it has it or not anymore.
One thing I would interject on that is that especially when it comes time that the glass is released in public, I guarantee you there's a good percentage of stuff that's discussed today that will be different. And it's going to be different depending upon the device you have. It's
like
going
I
to
said,
be different depending upon the vendor, all that kind of fun stuff. So they're going to try to make it so it integrates as cleanly as possible across as many devices as possible, but there's going to be some restrictions.
Yeah, like I said, up until recent, like a week or two ago, it was completely different.
I did read about how they changed.
So it's changing very rapidly. The way to actually control it is with the touchpad along the side, which I mentioned before, and using voice commands. Now, a lot of people pick up their phone, they know their phone has voice commands, they don't know what to say. Glass gives you a prompt of everything you're able to say. There's no guesswork. Now, this is where it gets a bit interesting. The way that the software works for Glass is, like I mentioned, through logging in with your account. So you have your device, you have Google who you log in with, and you have what's called Glassware, which is your service. You log into the service, and then it sends, so you can request data, and it just sends you data using Google as it's authenticated, it's logged in, we're good to go. Which devices should I push this to? Like which device is this username logged into? That's it. So it's different than your traditional, I'm going to go to an app store, install an app, and launch it. It's you request data, or it sends you data. That's it. It's as simple as that. Now, granted, this is subject to change, so we don't know what their plans for all the software are in the future. So to manage your device, you either do it through the mobile application or through the website, which is just toggling which services that you're logged into on or off. Or adding, if you want to connect to Wi-Fi, just type in the Wi-Fi password and it sends what you want to connect to Glass, and that's it. So it's simple. That is all the management and setup that you will ever really have to use. So I'm actually going to show you guys a bit of what Glass looks like when it's in use. So what you see on the screen is what I see on Glass. Now, I'm not saying anything right now, which is part of the whole not distracting, minimal, out of the way. It doesn't want to be on all the time in your face. Now, to turn it on, you can either tap the side of the touchpad or set an angle so that you can just tilt your head to turn it on, and that is what you get. Now, note that what you see up here might appear a bit laggy because it's streaming. It is liquid smooth on the device. So that's what I see. Now I have to just peek my eyes up to see it or tilt it down, and I can still see right through it because it's glass. Glass is clear. So I can look forward with it on, and I don't even notice it. Now, once it's on, you have what's called your timeline. Now, your timeline is the most basic thing here, it is the core of Glass. So by swiping forward, you see your history, you see timestamps here of things that you've done, information you've looked up, information that has been sent to you, all chronological. Which means that you can go back and see any of it. Like this is an application called Field Trip, which Google has that just shows you things you might be interested in the area where you're located. I get CNN articles pushed to me every hour or so, and if you have, these are all called cards. Now you have a card with information. Let's take this CNN article. You can tap it and have it. You can choose to read more of it. You can have it read it aloud, or you can actually play a video clip of it. I'm not going to do that right here. It'll be really choppy trying to stream it, but you can watch like little news clips and the like. So that's your timeline. That's the basic concept of that, and it goes back all the way to, yesterday, 2 days ago, 3 days ago, and more.
I can see, for example, you talking to us and saying play, and Glass starts playing.
Well,
Do you have to prompt it first with OK Glass?
I actually,
What's the technique?
actually, what I'm showing you right now is all tapping.
Okay.
So I'll show you how to initiate the voice commands in a moment.
Once they're initiated, then.
That actually, yeah,
Is that an
what,
issue?
once it's initiated, yes, but there's a trigger word that you have to say in order to start that. The other direction of your timeline shows what is called Google Now, which I'm not sure if any of you are familiar with Google Now. It is a learning service. So it keeps you up to date with the weather where you're located, things you might be interested in nearby, how far away you are from home, stocks that you look up, sports teams that you look up, and more. It's a great service. I recommend you all look that up. It is available for Android as well, and through the Google search app on the iPhone. But it integrates with what's called Google Now. So that keeps you up to date with your calendar events. So say you need to leave by a certain time, and you have your address in your calendar event, it says you need to leave by this time to get there by the appointment start based on current traffic. And it shows up right there, just one swipe away. Now, so now that you have your idea of the timeline and where information is and how to access it, actually using Glass is either with interacting with individual cards or through voice prompts. Now this prompt right here, that is your keyword. Wherever you see this is where you can do voice commands. So you can say, OK, Glass. And it gives you a new list of voice prompts. Now all of these are verbatim. There's no guesswork here. So if you want to say, take a picture. Now it's showing up a bit dark on this. So I can go to that picture. I can choose to share it with whomever I'd like, whatever groups I'd like, whatever social network I'd like. Let's give you a few more examples of this. So you can say like, OK, Glass, and say, let's get directions to 5225 Darrow Road. For those of you who don't know, that is the Simplex-IT World Headquarters location. So it loads your GPS. And there we go. And it's going to follow you around. Now, what's cool about this is that it's on. It's not distracting. It's out of the way. I can look directly at you. Don't even notice that it's there. And once you're driving, it fades away and it times out until something new is coming up or until you turn the display on. So it's nice, it's minimal, it's out of the way. Now, we also have this voice prompt here, which was actually added about a month ago. they've been adding a lot of new hands-free capability with each update. So there's bound to be a lot more than there is. So I can say like, okay, glass, and it gives me more options. Now each of those, like I said, is said verbatim. So show route overview. And it's right down the street, so it's not a very interesting route. Okay, glass, stop directions. Yes.
Will it tell you where to turn, when to turn?
Yes, yes, it does. Unfortunately, I can't stream the audio, but I do hear everything up here. When I initiate something, there's little clicking sounds when I'm scrolling. When something loads, it goes bling. When I get a notification, it gives me a little dinging sound, and I can then turn on glass to see what the notification was. Yeah, so it integrate, all the applications integrate with audio. Direct GPS is one of the more useful ones with audio, so you don't have to look up. But even when you are looking up, I can keep my eyes on the road right ahead of me. So let's do a few more. So, okay, glass. It's Google basketball. So we're gonna do a Google search for basketball. Now, it's gonna give me some web results for basketball, and so the first one here is a Wikipedia page. Now up until recently, you could scroll through Google search results, but information that you could view on Glass was a bit limited to what it could read back to you. There's a web browser in Glass now, so if you need to look something up while you're on the go, you can.
There was always a prank I heard of with that. Can someone walk next to you and say, okay, glass, Google search,
No.
like something bad and pops up in your face?
No, because the display has to be on, and it has to be at one of the cards that has that OK Glass prompt, which then leads into the prompt for Google searching something.
So it'd be pretty much impossible to try and...
You'd have to know exactly what they were looking at if anything was being displayed at all. But I'm just going to show you the web browser real quick. Now, the web browser is pretty interesting because it sounds kind of complicated to get a web browser on a small little device like this. So now I can scroll through, look at what I want. And if I wanted to, on a bigger web page, because this is optimized for mobile, if I wanted to look around, it's literally a matter of looking around the web page. And zoom in and out. And let's click that link. So the web browser is surprisingly intuitive, which allows you to do a bit more research on the fly. It's very quick. You don't have to get out your phone. You don't have to type a bunch in. You just say what you want, look around, and it's there. So we can go back. Okay. Now, one of the, yes?
In your opinion, how, suppose you're driving, you get stopped by a police officer, how much are they going to be interested in what you have on your eyes?
I have let...
How well is it going to be accepted by law enforcement?
Well, first off, in the state of Ohio, driving with a mobile device in use is illegal. It's a like a misdemeanor, a side. Yeah, yeah. Using it hands-free is not. Hands-free is allowed. Now, I have let 16 police officers try Glass On so far. I have yet to have one of them say that they do not like the idea of people driving with glass. I've let each of them try it on, see what the GPS looks like, and without fail, each of them finds it to be less distracting than any other form of GPS, whether you're using your phone, a mounted display, because you can still keep your eyes on the road. Well, I would hope that you're not trying to browse web pages when you're driving, because you shouldn't be doing that no matter what device you're using.
People never know.
Are you saying you got pulled over 16 times since you...
All I'm going to say is the Google Glass will survive a taser. We were all surprised. Actually,
Get you out
four
of the ticket,
tasers.
right? Get you out of here, try this on. Oh,
Yeah, right.
Hey, have a nice day.
But I will point out one thing is remember that when mobile devices first started being used in cars, it was years before there was any consistency in terms of how safety forces are going to be dealing with it. And the same thing's going to happen here. You're going to have some law
Yeah, 16 is a
enforcement
small number, so.
folks- You're going to have some law enforcement folks that feel that that is an impediment to appropriate driving, and you're going to have others who are going to say that it isn't. And so it is going to be, my suspicion is it's not going to be that huge of a deal. You know, but it's not going to be until they're out and until they're fully used. You had a run-in with security at New York Airport.
Yeah, that was, they were afraid I was, yeah, that was for something a bit different though.
And we can edit that part out. No, but seriously, there was an incident with the security where they were questioning. There was one individual, a Marine.
Yeah, it was one of the Marines that was stationed there, and he was concerned that I was photographing TSA checkpoints.
Which he very well could have. But other members of this Marine squad, and he was very polite, very
Yeah.
appropriate.
Oh yeah, I was more than willing to take them off for this guy. He had a big gun, so.
But the Marine was polite as well.
Oh yes.
But one of the other Marines in his squad demonstrated how easy it was for him to take pictures with his cell phone.
Yeah, while he was telling me how I could be taking pictures secretly, his own squad underling, I don't know, squad member. This guy was the leader of the squad. His own squad member proceeded to take pictures of his squad leader with his cell phone, and he thought he was texting the whole time and didn't bat an eye. And he's like, you do realize I just took like 15 pictures of you, and you didn't even realize it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
And what's going to end up happening, what really is going to be interesting is Vegas.
Well, the thing is, I wouldn't take glass into a casino or something like that. Here's why. You're not supposed to have your cell phone out. Don't have glass out.
Yeah.
Plain and simple. If you wouldn't use your cell phone, don't use glass. If it's in an area where you should not, you will get removed for taking pictures with your cell phone, don't have glass. But that goes for anything that you can't take any sort of camera out, whether it's your phone, an actual camera. Yes.
Have you walked into a public restroom yet?
Yes.
People look at you weird?
No.
No?
And here's why. Here's one of the key things. First off, I go like this anytime I go into an area like that, just to ease people. Now, here's the biggest.
Smooth little, he's already got the
I practice. Privacy concerns are a big topic with it, and here's the biggest thing to tell people that I tell people to alleviate that concern. First off, if I am using it, if it's displaying a text message to me, if I am interacting with it, recording a video. Who here can see this little light? Everyone? That light will be on, which is why they do not cover the front, because you can tell when I'm doing anything at all. Now, I have to interact with it in one way or another, whether that be by touching it or verbalizing my commands. So combine the light with the fact that I have to, it's obvious when I'm talking to it, and if I'm taking a picture of you, I'm going to stare at you, and I'm going to be, it's obvious that I'm using it. And that's part of why they kept the light there, and why you can't do anything without making it known that you're interacting with it. So if I'm sitting there and you see me going like this, I'm swiping through something.
Now, just to add something to this, as I heard somebody else mention watches, the number of devices that can be used for either picture or data recording is going to grow exponentially over the next couple of years. It's not just going to be these glass devices. That's it.
They have pens with cameras, little ties with cameras.
And not all of them are going to be, don't worry, there's a light on when it's recording something.
They already have those now. Like I
Yeah.
said, they have Bluetooth earpieces that look like a Bluetooth earpiece camera.
Yeah.
Ties, camera. Pens, camera.
So from a security standpoint, when you're looking at it from the standpoint, or an organization is looking at it from the standpoint of they want to protect items or devices or whatever, recording information, your task is going to become astronomically more difficult over the next couple of years.
And not because of a single product.
It's absolutely,
Right.
the technology is just growing exponentially.
As for bathrooms, though, if I am seeing anything that should not be seen in a bathroom with glass, the last concern that you're going to have is whether I have a camera. It's going to be more of what are you doing? Yes.
Going back to the driving with that on, and I don't know if anything happened. I know some vehicles used to they were talking about having a heads-up display on the windscreen, so you can see your speedometer and all the things that you want to. And I don't know if any vehicles still have that or not.
They had them a few years
I know
ago.
that was, and I know they were bringing it up, and I don't know if that was something they said that's a distraction to driving, having that up, which the law enforcement said if it's right here, you're not looking down, you're looking right through it. So it was. So I wonder if that would fall into the same category with that heads-up display.
You can, well, like I said, it's not in front of your eyes, so you have two options.
Yeah.
You can either look up or put it in front of you. In any case, you can see through it. You see how you have the time and the command here, but there's nothing else on the background? It's translucent. You can see right through it. Yeah. Here's how this works. The way that I mentioned the prism before. Now, the way that the prism works is imagine a 25-inch display from 6 to 8 feet away. The best way for me to demonstrate this is to take your phone, and I know that I'm going to try to keep this as far away from the mic as possible. Take your phone, hold it arm's length away, and look at the clock on the lock screen. If you can read that, you will be able to read glass. Because it uses a big font, and I've actually, like, if I was to line this up, that's exactly how it lines up. And I've done this where, like, I have the display up and I line it up exactly. No, which is why the prism is there. It's so that you can line up and you see it out, not right there. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to focus on it.
Can you adjust the distance?
No. Someone.
What happens if you wear regular glasses?
Yes,
Can that be added
you brought that up
to
before.
your
Is that what you were going to bring up again?
No.
Oh, okay. We'll get to you next. All right, as for prescription glasses, first thing that needs to be known is that this is not the final form factor. This is just the test, the testing product. The testing product itself, most people, depending on your frames, can fit it over top of their glasses comfortably. Or if you want, you can unscrew something and attach it to your glasses frames. Upon public release, they are already working with glasses manufacturers to make prescription frames that are compatible with glass, that can have glass attached to it or removed at will. So that's their plan. They're already working on that, and they've had a couple of pictures put out of actual frames with it on there, and it actually looks a bit more natural than this. But yeah, they are working to have prescription frames that support it.
Because it's in front of one eye, do you have an issue with the other eye
No.
looking past it at all?
No, because you're not focusing on something so close, like the way that the prism works. If I'm looking at you and I just want to look with my right eye, and honestly, it feels like you're just looking normal. I believe you tried it on at the picnic. Okay, when you tried it on, was it distracting to your eyes, like to your left eye? It was pretty easy to read. The font was big.
Easy to read because I had the same concerns.
Yeah, and it doesn't draw the attention of this eye. It's not gonna make your focus all weird. Yes.
Back to the prescription lenses,
Yes.
if and when they do that, then you're back to the issue of how you take them off if you got rid of your eyesight.
What do you mean? How do you take?
Well, you were commenting, if you go into an area where you wouldn't have your.
Oh.
Okay. So you
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
They want to make glass modular which means that you can take the device off and on of the frame. Current model, you can't. Their goal is to make it so that you can take it off and on easily. The purpose of that is twofold. One, so that you can take it off more easily when you don't want to have it on. And two, so that you can accessorize. So you can have different frames and different sunglasses and move them back and forth.
Does a device have any type of security? I'm thinking along the lines of like Apple picking.
Of what?
Are you familiar with Apple picking?
No.
Okay, when somebody is holding a cell phone, somebody runs along, snatches it, keeps on going.
Actually, you can. Well, first off, snatching this it doesn't come off very like you actually have to like lift it. Let's say someone is to snatch it though. You can go onto the web interface and factory reset the device. And unless they can connect to the internet with it, they can't access any of the information or do anything with it. Now, if they don't have your account credentials, they can't access the internet with it because they can't add a new network. But you can factory reset the device, and if you go to the mobile app or the website, you can view the device location at all times, so you can track the device.
Okay, so and that would be contingent upon it being connected either one through Bluetooth or Wi-Fi.
Yes, and it actually I don't know what it is, but it seems to pick up the location. Like even if like my phone got turned off or something, it seems to pick it up. It's really weird. I'm not sure how they do that, but I think it goes based on proximity to other things, even if it's not connected, so that it can give you a general location no matter what. So like if there's Wi-Fi in the area, it'll use, oh, there's these Wi-Fi hotspots in the area, this is where it is, to give you an approximate location. Plus, like I said, if it does connect to anything, you can factory reset the device remotely.
Okay. Would Google assist in as far as here are the IP addresses it came from, and here's where we might be able to track where it was at?
I don't like actual Google assisting with that.
Right. Like law enforcement to be able to try and.
I don't know, because since it's not a publicly released product, they don't have all these services and support and everything built yet. So
it could be a roadmap.
yeah, it could be. I could ask them, but they probably don't quite know yet. Just for those who are curious, since roadmap plans for the future, there is not a current release date for the device. 6 to 12 months. That's the best I can give you, and that's the best any of the employees will be able to give you as well. So
Estimated price?
also unknown. If
$1 million.
if they said that they wanted to get it to the cost of a low-end smartphone off contract, which means to me anywhere between $300 and $600. I do not know that for a fact. Just putting that out there. If I had to take a stab at the price, I would probably say between $300 and $600. Yes.
You talked about the speakers, different technologies. So 2 questions. One, is there any kind of volume where someone next to you can hear what's going on?
There is some what? Like a volume.
You said the speaker was different. Can anybody hear anything that's not wearing glass?
The only times that people can hear faintly what I'm hearing is if I'm in a completely silent, like for example, we were driving over the weekend recently and I had the GPS on, and Kevin in the front seat was able to hear the directions pretty faint.
Yeah, really faint.
Really faintly.
I could just barely hear
Now,
it.
For all purposes, no.
See, there was no other sound going on.
And then the second question is, does this sound the same to you like your regular GPS?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
The sound quality in terms of the voice is good enough that I take phone calls on it.
Okay.
Through Bluetooth.
Yeah, through a Bluetooth connection in my phone, I take phone calls on it. Yeah.
You can send texts?
Yeah, I get my text sent to here, and then I can reply to them. I just say, yeah.
Yeah, you just see his head just go up like this. Keep in mind 2 things about this, okay? First of all, this is not even yet a 1.0 product. This is a 0.x product. And I don't mean that as a, this is horrible, this is bad, this is whatever, but a lot of these questions, they're looking, and I know Brandon has already had a couple of conversations with people at Google, talking about his experience and what's worked, what hasn't. So they're very interested in
the Glass team is very, very heavily involved with the Glass Explorers, simply because we are the people who are giving them the bugs and telling them what needs fixed, feature ideas, what people tell us they want to see happen with it. And we communicate that with them, and they've done a really good job so far of listening to us.
But this goes beyond a bug, this didn't work, this bug. This is also usability issues. How well does it work for this scenario? How well does it work? And so you've got a lot of changes that are coming on. So when you ask questions about, does it do this, does it do that? And the answer being no does not mean that's not gonna be there 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 months from now. I already know there's been a lot of changes that have happened.
In the past 3 months, they went from being able to use voice commands at one window on one of those cards to being able to use voice commands on almost every card in about 2 months.
What about text typing? Do you do like
voice commands? Voice, and it tends to do a pretty good job of picking you up. I don't try and like sound robotic when I say it very fluidly, and it picks it up.
Do you have to train it with your voice or anything like that?
No, currently, no. Do I personally think that's what's going to happen in the future? Yes, I think so, because Motorola recently released a phone where the voice commands are specifically tailored to you. It only responds to you. I think that they're going to implement that in Glass. Now, like I said, I don't know that for a fact.
Do you currently have the ability to create new voice commands?
Yes. So if you have an application, you can tell it, you can give it voice commands, and that way you can, expand on the voice capability of it, so you can interact with it in different ways.
Are they going to expand in other languages?
I don't know that for a fact.
Absolutely.
I have no doubt.
I'm assuming they have it.
I have no doubt.
Like him all over the world, so that they get feedback.
They probably.
Currently, it's only U.S.
Yeah.
Like the beta test is strictly United States. So English is the only language it works with. So far.
Yeah, but there's no way that that's not going to change
Oh yeah.
quickly.
To not make it a global product would be
It's not that difficult, relatively speaking.
preposterous.
Once they've got it down and it's working the way they want it,
It's a porting.
then adding the languages and stuff.
Well, it uses the voice engine that Google already has built, which supports many languages. They just don't have it integrated into Glass yet. Yes.
So we're the guinea pigs.
Huh?
So we are the guinea pigs.
Pretty much.
He is.
I am.
Well,
How long have you been using that then?
Almost 3 months.
Any side effects, any twitching habits?
No more than usual. But one thing I do want to, because we're running a little bit low on time. One thing I do want to talk about real briefly is how you're not installing applications in the traditional sense.
That's actually what I was going to mention.
So when you've got your iPad, your iPhone, or your laptop, or your whatever, for the most part, we are actually installing code that actually resides and executes on our devices. Glass isn't like that. Glass, the application is actually more of a service that you're getting. A couple of exceptions, but for the most part, and the diagram that Brandon had, where essentially you're connecting this device, whether it's through the wireless network or through your mobile device, up to Google and then to the service provider who's providing the application. That's where a majority of the work is being done, not on this. So from a security standpoint, this puppy isn't holding a whole bunch of documents or security or all that kind of fun stuff. It's pretty much a dumb device. Now, it has keys to the kingdom that allow you to get access to that information. But that information isn't actually stored on the device, which is both a strength and a weakness. It's a strength from the standpoint of it makes it very easy to maintain the application, because the application, if we're providing the application, all we have to do is make sure it works on our servers. And it's pushing stuff out appropriately, and hey, we're happy. It's a pain because that means that this device, and this is very is almost 100% dependent upon a connection to the internet. If it doesn't have a connection to the internet, it's not going to do a whole lot.
It's a decent camera.
It's a camera. Okay, and a conversation starter.
Yeah, that too.
You know, so, but if you don't have internet connection, all bets are off.
Let's pick a field here. Let's say emergency responders, because everyone knows emergency responders and what they do. So someone is already working on an application that integrates with dispatch, where they send information to the emergency responders. Now let's say you're a firefighter, and you're in a building, and they have the robot, like the robotics that go and check the air and all that. You're in the building, something changes, information's right there. You don't have to touch it, you just look up, and it's there. The information that you need. Someone else is working on like something for the people who work on automotives. You take a picture of a part, it does a reverse image search, lets you browse through the catalogs. You then choose what you want to look at, and you have your information.
That's one thing. Is the streaming quality for streaming video to someone? Is it good? Like
Yes.
the quality of it?
It's decent. This is probably going to give you the best idea of video quality here. Recently, and by recently I mean a couple weeks ago, at The Ohio State University, there was a surgeon who performed a surgery on someone's leg. They wanted to, you can do a video chat with Glass where they see what you see and you see them. He immediately put it on, and he said, you know, it wasn't distracting, and he proceeded to perform the surgery with patient consent, obviously, to the med students, who then watched it. He ran into an issue during the surgery and required a consult. The guy couldn't get to the hospital and get scrubbed up and all that. He jumped into the video call, saw exactly what he saw, and walked him through the surgery. So in terms of video quality, there's your there's your little point there.
Is there a site that's crowdsourcing ideas of what might be done with it? Not something that was developed.
There's a
4 or 5 things we did where they're sort of gathering. You can see what some of those ideas are, how the device might be. Like examples you just gave. It's got thousands and thousands of ideas.
Oh yeah.
That developers or entities might want to.
Well,
I just wonder if there's such a site to see what those are.
To see what the ideas are, no, just talking to people on social networks. The only community designed around Glass at the moment is it's a private community for the explorers and the Glass employees to go through ideas and implement things.
Somebody needs to start a site.
Well, part of it though is that right now the people that have the ideas for developing the applications are developing the applications. They're not talking about it because they want to come out with those services and they want to.
And those who do have the ideas, you might have the idea, you can't actually do anything with it yet. The access to the resources to develop are closed currently to only explorers.
Okay, I think that's going to be. We'll stick around for a few minutes afterwards and all that kind of fun stuff. But thank you, Brandon.
So that's Google Glass.